Let's be real, the isekai genre is oversaturated. I said it. It feels like every season, we're drowning in a sea of overpowered protagonists, copy-paste fantasy worlds, and titles that are basically a full paragraph. We've all seen the same hero stumble into the same generic kingdom, right? But what if I told you 2025 was the year that all changed? What if this was the reset the genre so desperately needed? Because looking back, 2025 has been a massive, game-changing year for both isekai and fantasy. We didn't just get new shows, we got brand new worlds that genuinely blew our minds. And at the same time, we saw the epic return of the titans we had all been waiting for. If you only had time for 10 isekai or fantasy anime this year, trust me, you should have made it these. Number 10. Kicking off our list at number 10 is a series that proved high fantasy romance is far from dead. Unnamed Memory Season 2. The second act of this magical saga, dubbed Act 2, landed in the winter 2025 season, starting on January 7th and running through March. The story picked up right where it left off, with the cursed Prince Oscar and the immortal witch Tanasha, deepening their complex relationship as they navigated royal intrigue and ancient secrets. So why was this a must-watch? Because it delivered on the slow burn, romance, and incredible world building that the first season established, and then elevated it. Animated by ENGI, the series continued to explore the dark, forgotten history of its world and the secrets behind both Tanasha's tragic past and Oscar's unbreakable curse. It was a mature, beautifully told fantasy that focused on character and narrative depth over flashy action. The dynamic between Oscar and Tanasha felt earned, with every shared glance and quiet conversation building towards something truly meaningful. For fans who love a story with real emotional weight, Unnamed Memory was one of the year's standout fantasy epics. Number 9. At number 9, we have a show that threw a Sentai-sized wrench into the isekai formula. The Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. This series, which premiered in the winter 2025 season on January 12th, took a beloved tokusatsu trope and sent it straight into a fantasy world. The premise is exactly as fun as it sounds. Tugo Asagaki, the fiery leader of a Power Ranger-style team, finds himself transported to a land of swords and magic after his final battle. What made this show so great was its sheer, unadulterated fun. It expertly blended classic JRPG fantasy with the over-the-top superhero action you'd expect from a Sentai show. Instead of a brooding hero with a cheat skill, we got a passionate, justice-loving leader who solved problems with teamwork, heroic poses, and a healthy dose of explosions. Produced by Satelight, the animation captured the campy, high-energy spirit of its source material perfectly. The series was a hilarious and action-packed ride that poked fun at the tropes of two very different genres, creating something refreshingly original and endlessly entertaining. Number 8? For our number 8 spot, we're looking at a brand new series from summer 2025 that tossed conventional character design right out the window. Busaman Gachi Fighter, or as it was known in English, Ugly Mug, Epic Fighter. Based on the manga by Ryo Hiromatsu, this was an isekai that said no thanks to the genre's obsession with pretty boy protagonists. The main character was, just as the title bluntly puts it, not your typical hero. When he was transported to another world, he had to rely on pure grit and fighting spirit to make it. What made this a must-watch was its incredibly wholesome and earnest story, which was brought to life by the legendary studio White Fox. This is the team behind giants like ReZero and Stein's Gate, so you already knew the animation was going to be phenomenal. But beyond the visuals, this was a story with a real heart. The manga was already praised for its genuine message, and the anime delivered on that promise. It was about inner strength, forging unbreakable friendships, and proving that your worth has absolutely nothing to do with how you look. In a sea of self-insert characters, Busaman Gachi Fighter was a refreshing and genuinely heartfelt take on what it means to be a hero. Number 7. Coming in at number 7 is the return of the coziest isekai in the business, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill Season 2. After a long wait, the show made its delicious return in the fall 2025 season, starting on October 7th. It was the perfect cure for the high-stakes, world-ending plots we saw everywhere else. The premise remains simple. A regular guy named Mukoda gets accidentally summoned to a fantasy world. His only power? Online supermarket, the ability to order food and ingredients from modern-day Japan. So what did he do? He ditched the heroics and continued his culinary road trip with his buddies, the legendary Fenrir, Fel, a baby slime named Sui, and a new dragon familiar who joined the hungry crew. Season 2 delivered more of what made the first one so great. Mouth-watering cooking scenes animated by Mappa, hilarious moments between Mukoda and his perpetually hungry, overpowered familiars, and a genuinely relaxing adventure. It was the ultimate comfort food anime, a true Iyashikei or healing type series. Seriously, there's nothing better than watching Makoto whip up some ginger pork for a mythical wolf god. Just don't watch this one on an empty stomach. Number 6? At number 6, we have a show that asked one of the biggest questions in all of fantasy. Where does magic actually come from? We got our answer in Magic Maker, How to Create Magic in Another World, which premiered back in the winter 2025 season on January 9th. The story followed a man obsessed with magic in his past life, only to be reborn as a boy named Shion into a world where it supposedly didn't exist. Instead of giving up, he decided that if magic wasn't there, he'd just have to make it himself. This wasn't your typical isekai where the main character was instantly overpowered. Animated by Studio Dean, Magic Maker was all about discovery and invention. We followed Shion as he meticulously researched, experimented, and literally wrote the book on magic from scratch, treating it like a lost science. What made it a must-watch was its incredibly smart, scientific approach to a fantasy system. It was less about chanting spells and more about understanding the fundamental laws of a hidden power. It was a slower, more intellectual take on the genre that was perfect for anyone who loves intricate world building and seeing a hero win with their brain, not just a cheat skill. Number 5. Cracking our top 5 is the return of a controversial but undeniably epic hero. The Rising of the Shield Hero came back this summer, and the 4th season, which premiered July 9th, managed to recapture the intense magic of the show's beginnings. The story continued with Naofumi Iwatani, the Shield Hero, who went from being betrayed and hated by everyone to becoming one of the world's most important defenders. Season 4 saw Naofumi and his party travel to Silfelt, a nation of demi-humans, where the Shield Hero isn't an outcast, he's worshipped as a god. This flipped the script entirely. For the first time, Naofumi wasn't the underdog. He was a figure of immense political and religious power, and he had to navigate a world that revered him as much as his old one despised him. Animated by Kinema Citrus, the season delivered the high-stakes action and emotional gut punches the series is known for, with a powerful score by Kevin Penkin, heightening every moment. Fans were thrilled to see how Naofumi handled this new landscape, confronted his past, and continued his journey from a scorned hero to a true legend. Number 4. Taking our number 4 spot is a series that proves Dungeons & Dragons are no match for gods and goddesses. That's right, we're talking about Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Season 5, also known as Danmachi. The first part of the season started in late 2024, but the story's climax hit hard in early 2025, making it a can't-miss event. This season adapted the Goddess of Fertility arc, a fan favorite from the light novels, and it was an absolute roller coaster that concluded between February and March. The story of Belle Cranell, the rabbit-footed adventurer trying to level up and win the heart of his crush, has always been a top-tier fantasy. But this season raised the stakes with epic faction wars, betrayals, and some of the most emotionally charged moments in the entire series. Animated by J.C. Staff, the action was slick, the stakes had never been higher, and Belle's journey was more compelling than ever. This was peak adventure, fantasy, and it was glorious to watch. Number 3. Taking the bronze medal is the grand return of a show that has become a modern phenomenon, The Apothecary Diaries Season 2. This historical fantasy kicked off 2025 with a bang, premiering on January 10th and running for a full 24 episodes. The new season continued the captivating adventures of Mao Mao, the sharp-witted apothecary navigating the dangers and mysteries of the imperial court. The Apothecary Diaries has become a cornerstone of modern fantasy for its brilliant blend of mystery, palace intrigue, and slow-burn romance. Animated by Toho Animation Studio and OLM, the series maintained its gorgeous visuals and sharp comedic timing. Season 2 dove deeper into Mao Mao's mysterious past, her complicated will-they-won't-they relationship with the handsome official Jinshi, and a web of conspiracies that threatened the entire empire. It was a story that was as intelligent as it was beautiful, praised for its thoughtful pacing and emotional depth, and its run was a massive event for every anime fan this year. Number 2. Our runner-up for 2025 was a brand new adaptation that source material fans had been begging to see for years, Lord of the Mysteries. This Chinese donghua made its global debut on June 28th, and it was absolutely not your typical fantasy. It was a masterclass in world-building, blending Victorian-era steampunk with cosmic horror and an incredibly complex magic system based on 22 pathways of power and sequences of progression toward godhood. The story followed Klein Moretti, a man who found himself reborn in this strange new world after a bizarre ritual. He quickly discovered Beyonders, people who get supernatural powers by drinking magical potions but risk going completely insane with every step they take. Why was this a must-watch? Sheer complexity and originality. The production by B.C. May Pictures brought this dark, detailed, and Lovecraftian-inspired world to life in stunning detail. It was a dense, slow-burn mystery that rewarded you with one of the most unique fantasy stories out there. Lord of the Mysteries was a global phenomenon and easily the breakout hit of the year, with plans for a multi-season saga already announced. Number 1. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The number 1 must-watch Isekai and Fantasy Anime of 2025 was, of course, the one and only Re:Zero Starting Life in Another World. Season 3 Part 2, the Counterattack arc, aired from February 5th through March 2025, concluding the harrowing events in the city of Pristella. With Season 4 already confirmed for 2026, Re:Zero absolutely dominated the conversation this year. The story of Natsuki Subaru, the guy who can return by death, has become a modern classic, known for deconstructing the isekai genre by putting its hero through absolute hell. Re:Zero is a masterpiece of psychological storytelling, blending moments of pure horror with incredible triumphs and profound character growth. Animated by White Fox, the series consistently delivered some of the most unforgettable and gut-wrenching scenes in modern anime. After the brutal events of Season 3's first half, which was the attack arc, the finale of the Pristella storyline was explosive. It brought the citywide battle against the Sin Archbishops to a stunning and emotional close, leading directly into what light novel readers consider one of the most critical parts of the entire story. There was simply no other series that created this much discussion, theory crafting, and emotional investment. It was the undisputed king, and its story was the biggest event on the 2025 fantasy anime calendar. So there you have it, the top 10 isekai and fantasy anime that you absolutely should not have missed in 2025. From mind-bending new worlds and wholesome adventures, to the soul-crushing return of our favorite heroes, 2025 proved that these genres still have so much incredible storytelling left to offer. But what do you think? What show were you most hyped for? Did we miss a hidden gem that you think belonged on the list? Drop a comment below and let me know. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the best of every anime season. Thanks for watching.